Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan Nielsen here, host of Real Estate Pros on Lister Pros TV. And today we're in beautiful Tucson, Arizona at Guild Mortgage, downtown Phoenix, or we're in downtown Tucson today. No, we're actually in Guild Mortgage. But we have a special guest, Denise Kiewel of Tierra Antigua. So thanks for taking time out of your busy day and joining me here on Real Estate Pros.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, first we'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, how long you've been in real estate, what interested you in getting into the business.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about your background too.
I will. Denise Kiewel, Tierra Antigua. I have been in real estate about 10 years. Prior to real estate, I was a stay-at-home mom. My kids were in junior high school when I got my license. And what I had decided is that when I wanted to go back into the workforce, I wanted to make sure I did something that I enjoyed, and I love real estate, houses, looking at them, working with people. I've always been in a customer service type industry, and so and have a flexible schedule. So those were all components of going back in the workforce, and real estate just seemed like a great fit to me. And it worked really well with my children, and now they're in college and full-time. It's great.
So you were a stay-at-home mom for a while, but what did you do before that?
Prior to that, I worked as a inside sales customer service rep for a golf car manufacturer called Club Car.
Oh no, they're like the biggest, right? I've seen some Club Cars.
I'd say they're number one.
Are they?
Yeah.
Club Car, I've seen them.
Club Car in Augusta, Georgia, and that's where I met my husband, who is a Tucson native, and we ended up in Tucson.
Hold on, you're from Georgia?
Georgia.
Were you disappointed of the
Yeah.
how the game unfolded?
Are you kidding me? I thought for sure they were going to win.
Yeah, they look strong, but you
Darn
can never count out Alabama. Goodness gracious. Awesome. So you've been in real estate for 10 years. So you got in around 2006, 2007. So at that point, was it a pretty hot market for you, or you got at the tail end and it just started?
It was really probably, financially one of the worst times to get into the market, but I felt it was one of the best times because it was a great time to learn and not be, I hate to say, bombarded with transactions,
right?
But it was a slower pace. So as the business and the market increased, then I had more experience.
Sure.
And so for me, I felt it was beneficial.
So has your business always been focused on traditional, or during that time did you do REOs and short sales and stuff like that?
I've never done REOs or short sales, and mainly everything is referral based. So being in the mom network, I was involved with the elementary school, with the PTG, the soccer club. One daughter was a cheerleader, so I was involved with the cheer team, and so you just make a lot of connections. So I started off with a sphere and then doing open houses, and it's grown.
So referral based is what you said, and then you also mentioned open houses. So were those the two main drivers of your business, or have been since the beginning?
Yes.
So that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your referral-based business. So obviously, like you said, from being an active mom in your kids, you're part of PTA and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So how were you able to transition this? I'm asking this because a real estate agent or somebody getting their license may have that similar background, and they want to figure out how do they turn those contacts that they have into potential customers. How were you able to do that successfully?
Well, I started off, when I first got my license, I developed a sphere of influence with just a mailing list of as many people as I could, that I knew in
Right.
Tucson. And my goal number was 100. And if I didn't have 100, I just filled it with a small farming area, say a neighborhood like 49ers. I know it's not completely small, but pick and choose different houses that you wanted to mail to, and I did a monthly mailing. I started off with recipe cards, which actually to this day I run into people and they ask me, when am I going to get my next recipe? Or I saved all your cards. And so it started from there. So then when people would recognize you in different medias, right? So you have the postcards, you have your Facebook page. Majority of them were friends, so they would see my personal media. And when they needed help with selling a home or purchasing a new one or purchasing for their children that are going to the U of A, then they would call me. So it was all about just keeping those relationships and making sure that that the people within your sphere knew that you were still practicing real estate.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about your monthly mailings. So I think that's interesting. And you mentioned having 100 people. So does that stay true today? Is it 100 people where like, you add people and you take away?
I do.
Do you still do the mailings?
I still do mailings, not recipe cards.
You basically stay focused on like your top 100
Top
potential
100,
clients or
yes.
top refers.
Yes. So as the years have gone by, I've removed some, added some. So I would take away someone I didn't know that was in the farm area, and I would add a new client, a past client. And I'm at the point now in 10 years that the last 2 years I've started to see repeat business. And that's because of keeping all those clients on the mailing list so that they remain familiar with you.
Right. And I think that's interesting. I think a lot of agents, that's a different approach than a lot of agents do. They'll do like every door direct mail and just mail a whole neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But this seems like you're more intentional about the people that you're connecting with, so then it's more personalized.
Right.
In my opinion, there's probably an actual stamp on them or something like that versus
There
just
is.
like, it's going in every single mailbox in the neighborhood, right?
Right.
So I guess there's benefits to both.
There
but
are.
anyways, that's awesome. So mailing list here in Tucson, referral based. You also mentioned open houses, right?
Yes.
So talk to us a little about open houses and how to hold them successfully.
What I try to do is, if I don't have a listing of my own that needs to be held open, then I'm pretty choosy about one that I will pick. So I want to make sure that I choose an open house that's in an area that I think gets good visibility, that your signage is going to be seen to drive traffic to you. I advertise it. If I don't always advertise in the paper, but I do always advertise it on social media. I will send it out through Tierra Antigua. We have an email system called Tierra All, and I will send out the open house announcements through there.
And that goes to the agents, or does that go to the public too?
It goes just to the agents.
Okay.
And then also I do make sure it's on MLS so it goes to the public, And then I make sure I have flyers. I make sure I have water, some type of refreshment, whether that's cookie, candy, whatever. I try to make sure I have other comparables that are within the area. So if that house doesn't fit to someone's needs, that I'm educated on what else is there in the market. And just try to make it more of a pleasant experience. And I don't really hound people. I make sure that they walk away with something, a brochure, my business card, and if they're hesitant to give me their information, I don't hound them for it.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So you also talked about promoting on social media your open houses. So How does that look successfully? You know, obviously you can create an event, you can do a post. How do you typically do it?
I do. I usually have a flyer that I prepare.
Okay.
And sometimes it's the flyer, and I'll post the flyer with a little verbiage. And sometimes I've used another account that creates a little video
Oh, nice.
and kind of spiffs it up with a little music and share it that way. So it is usually what I've noticed recently is that videos are viewed more
Sure.
than just a plain brochure.
Right.
So I've been trying to incorporate that more into
Okay.
my business.
And so do you post it on your personal page, or are there community pages like
There are
neighborhood
community
or
page. Yeah, good idea. And yeah, there are several, and even within the real estate community, there are several web pages for real estate agents and lenders. You know, even through Guild, you could share with. I know I've used Vernon Laurie in the past, and I could share on his page. Or so there's and real estate in Tucson. Some are agent based, some are public based, but I have about a list of 6 or 7 that I share all at one time.
So, different topic. So, if I was a new agent getting into the business, obviously you got in kind of during a downtime, so you kind of had to kind of struggle through it. Not necessarily struggle, maybe you didn't struggle much at all, but if somebody's getting into the business in 2018, to shorten that learning curve, what would you recommend a brand new agent do if they go into an area where they don't have a big sphere of influence, to be able to grow their business?
I would say for a new agent, okay, let's just say, for example, that someone's just moved into Tucson and
Right.
they've decided to get their real estate license and they don't know anyone. I would say get involved somehow in the community with some organization and network that direction. Everyone you meet, when it's appropriate, give them a business card. Have a little introduction without being too pushy, that you are in the real estate industry, and if they ever need assistance, you'd be happy to help them out. You can, as I was talking about before, a farming area, choose a neighborhood. I mean, you may be living in an apartment building, you may be living, in a subdivision, and farm to that area and introduce yourself to as many people as you can.
Right. So just getting in front of more people. Right. I would definitely have to agree with that. It's a relationship based business, so obviously part of your success getting into it was, your sphere of influence and the people and the relationships that you built. So being out there in the community and building those relationships, the faster you do that, will be better. It is a lot of work. Would you agree?
Right. I will agree. And it's a lot. I mean, you don't have to cold call. You don't have to door knock. You can do the open houses. You're going to meet people. Even, your hairdresser, your dentist, your doctor, everyone that you come in contact, you should be able to share a business card, or at least let them know what you do as a profession. And I know for me, it's I'm not about cold calling. I have door knocked at the beginning. I didn't really like it. Can't say I received any clients from it, but it did formulate me into the agent I am. So
yeah. So you kind of got to figure out what works for you
Right.
and your personality to be able to
Right.
last long term. These 10 years. Early on in your career, if you're doing, you could do all the cold calls and stuff if you needed that, but eventually you're gonna have to transition to your strengths, to be able to
right.
to last in the business. So we know there's a lot of real estate agents out there. If a potential buyer or seller is watching this, and why would a buyer or seller want to hire you versus another agent off the street?
I feel that a majority of the time, there are circumstances where you need to go the extra mile, where you need to help that buyer or seller a little extra, and I feel like I always do that. The majority of my clients, like I said, I can't even say the majority anymore because after 10 years, they're not all friends, but they become friends.
Right.
So not only am I representing a buyer or a seller, but I develop a relationship with them. And I would show 20 houses in a day if that's what you wanted to see. I don't limit. And for a seller, I've scrubbed the floors. I've done their dishes. I've straightened the house because somebody was coming over to see it last minute and they couldn't do it. So I think that those type of things and wanting to develop a relationship with a buyer or seller are one of the top attributes I have.
Yeah, absolutely. So going the extra mile for your clients,
Right.
those little things do matter. If they're not available and you got a showing and a good potential buyer,
I know.
you got to make sure the presentation's on point. So
Right.
being willing to do that
Right.
and go the extra mile goes a long way. If somebody is watching this and they want to reach out to you or ask you some additional questions around real estate or looking to list or buy a home, how do people get a hold of you?
Either any way possible. Texting, emailing. My phone number is 520-661-9040. They can reach me by email at Denise Kiewel at tierraantigua.com, or just simply call, and I would be happy to help.
One last question before we end the show. What is your favorite thing about Tucson?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Sorry, curveball.
I know. I love the outdoors. So I didn't share this, but I love to cycle. I love to hike. So I live on the northeast side of town, and I can go hiking
Mount
in
Lemmon?
10
Is that
minutes.
Mount Lemmon area?
Mount Lemmon. I ride my bike.
Yeah.
I've ridden to the top a few times.
I share. I done that too. It's
Yeah,
tough.
it's on my goal for 2018.
See, I didn't know about that. See, I did. Well, I've been a long time cyclist. I've done a lot. Tour de Tucson a lot. I just
Yeah, me
did
too.
Ironmans, but going up Mount Lemmon is a challenge.
I know,
That's
I know.
That's a goal for 2018.
2018, I didn't make it this past year to
No?
the top, but 2018.
All right, let's do it. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much for joining me on Real Estate Pros, and we will see you guys on the next episode.